espresso at noon on TV.
Hey, how are you?
This is DPDX orders. Do me a favor. Stand right here for a second. Okay, I'm just gonna check the mic.
Charles asked me. Oh, okay. Hi, love.
How's it going, dude? How you back?
Good. Good. Nice to see you. Always.
Yeah, you got it.
Welcome.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Checking the mic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Awesome, thank you. All right, bye-bye. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thank you. Come on back. Come on back.
You know, once you get used to those wireless ones, you honestly don't feel that great.
Yeah.
Because I feel like,
Well, if they're not, they're just a little bit big. I'm sensitive to that. My director used to be 1996.
right.
So that's the only reason. Otherwise, she cares. The only reason I'm so far.
No, because of YouTube, they don't everything is supposed to come all accustomed to.
You know, I did my prayers. He was like, I can't believe she's using these. It's great. It's great. She's really and talk about getting a shot. That's what they do. Yeah, I guess. Why not? All right. Just put it. Sure. It's a terrible story.
I can't even believe it.
Is that your district you represent the casino? Is that in your district, the casino?
No, the casino is not, but it just breaks my heart. It's unbelievable to me. Nobody helps.
Yeah, no. You know, what is it?
My sister calls my house to do drop in. She says, oh, every homeless person and that we know comes to my house. And that's the truth they do. But I can't believe it.
Hello. Good. It's good to see you both. Mind if I give you a hug? I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you. It's been a while since I've been over there. I'm good. Very good.
You look great.
Thanks. Just a little tired. I was sad. Kept thinking about the babies all night.
I saw you on TV talking about it. It broke my heart too. The whole situation.
It's my case.
It should never have happened. Never.
It's definitely like that area. Yeah. I don't know. It's just.
At first when I heard the story, I thought it might have been migrants or people who were illegal who were like that in the neighborhood.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You good? What about the rest? Everybody's good? 1, 2, 3, 4. You good? Okay, cool.
She's having hand surgery tomorrow. Me today.
One.
I know, everybody's an attorney or a doctor, good lord. I have to marry into this family, I don't know. That's it.
Yeah, 'cause it's over. It's on that.
The judge, myself as a lawyer, and the doctor.
Oh boy. There you go. Hey. Downtown services. I think it's just the fact that you're a dad, right? Maybe when you look at it from the outside.
Oh no, I missed that one. I gotta watch. I gotta watch you replay on that one.
And you picture slightly broke.
That was not good. I had 66, so it was not good. Yeah, it looks all of it. Tried to figure it out. Thought there was a reason for something. Because clearly. I think it's just going to be she's medicine. He's got besides everything I said. Last thing you need to do is have like watery, teary eyes or you know, on stage. It's always like nice little They have these like they have not vetted them, so it's basically and that's just great videos, neighbors, or friends, family, trying to figure out whether there's it's just didn't really do much in this one though. Just kind of showed up and saw sad. Oh my gosh. Some we say reduce it, and then that cup goes up and you slosh off the edges and it gets a little weird. I see you were looking for multiple lenses. I guess it's just occurred to me that it's down in the market, but you're right. It was really interesting because you think of it showing some of these discoveries, the thoughts, the process. They were coming to people that age thing. And it was really interesting. It made you wonder. I can't remember the study, but
Are you asking sanctions? You are. Okay.
but imagine the evolution in such a pretty interesting.
How much you get paid? Are we going to get paid? Okay, paid night.
I started out with the news, just more so on the weekends, and then started getting into it. You get the dirty fingers still on little flakes of paper all over. So I was wanting to can't do the phone part. I tried. Failed. That's for us old people that do glasses. I would probably come back and join these. Probably I probably like more either that, or not so much the doors, but I would also talk about jazz, or anything that's all around. So if you were into like Dizzy Gillespie or bass, if you enjoyed piano or bands, stuff like that. I like that. It's really hard. I just don't think they're ever going to release an album. Vinyl, I think it'd be like 4 I think I've passed 2 stores downtown sometimes, but I haven't been. I think I'm not playing more now. You're talking like deep grooves and it just seems like it's easier to honestly kind of find something that's newer or so much faster. Are you picking up new music now? Or was it all? This doesn't surprise me. You seem like kind of an edgy, cool person. I get it. You got it. Somewhere on the outside the doom and gloom and explosions. It'll work as long as it's early, you know, and somewhere warm or something.
I thought those were
I figured, I think so. I wanted this here at 12. They could be wrong. Maybe it's 12.
Yeah, so I
Hello, Mr. Mayor. Just explain the response. Now we see your buddy right here?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in what? Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Pretty good, how are you?
All right, you ready? Okay, kick it off. Here to give an update about the tragic situation that happened with 2 of our young people, children, that preliminarily it looked like they froze to death, died from exposure to hypothermia. So everything that I'm going to give you at this point is preliminary in nature as we continue with our investigation. So therefore, it could be subject to change, and I'll give further updates later. But the children were asleep in a car on the 9th floor of a casino parking structure, the Hollywood Casino. The mother realized that her 9-year-old son wasn't breathing. Also, previous to that, she had already called a friend, another, close relative, to help because with the vehicle not running, trying to figure out whether it was a mechanical failure, it had ran out of gas. So they were already on site in another vehicle, attempting with gasoline to get the vehicle started. When the mother realized that her son wasn't breathing, she did make a 911 call, but the friend in a Buick immediately transported the 9-year-old, put them in the car and transported them to Children's Hospital. While en route to Children's Hospital, as they checked on the other children that were in the van, and it was a total of 5 children in the van, they realized at some point that the 2-year-old wasn't breathing, and so a telephone call was made to the friend that was transporting the 9-year-old at Children's Hospital to return so that the 2-year-old could be picked up. Once the vehicle returned, the Buick, we have videotape where we see the whole entire family get into the Buick, and they all were transported to Children's Hospital. With that, like I said, the call came in at 12:12 from the mother. It was very limited information that was given to our 911 call taker as to the location of where everything was happening. It was just at the casino, no description of the vehicle, et cetera. Our call taker continuously kept the line opening, trying to identify where in the description and what was going on. A 911 call taker called the mom back numerous times, and ultimately we received a call from the hospital that they had 2 children there who were deceased. Our officers responded to the hospital. The hospital had notified us at 12:47. Our officers, like I said, responded to the hospital, and from there we continued with the investigation, talked to the mother, and also talked to the grandmother, and they were able to give us the specific locations as to where the van actually was that was parked on the 9th floor at the Motor City Casino. And so we do know that on that day and time that the temperatures were below 32 degrees, and from all, talking to hospital staff, and of course, ultimately the medical examiner will determine the cause of death, but just on the surface right now, it appears that it was exposure to hypothermia. So at this point, I'll be around to answer additional questions, but I'll turn it over to the mayor, and at the end of the press conference, we'll answer questions. Thank you all.
Thanks, Chief. It's a terrible day in Detroit as we deal with the tragic loss of 2 young people, and it's got to make us rethink everything that we're doing. The heartbreaking part of this is that there were family shelter beds available just a few miles away from where the family pulled in to that Greektown structure, but brings home the point that having services available doesn't mean very much if the residents who need them don't know how to access them. I meet every 2 weeks with the police chief and all of the command staff to talk about what's going on. And last winter, the commanders were telling me that they were picking up unsheltered individuals in the evening and taking them to shelters and couldn't get them in, which made me very angry because I thought we had contracts that shelters did not turn people away. But we got our housing and redevelopment team together with the Detroit Police Department and dramatically changed things for this winter. We added 400 more shelter beds, going from 900 to 1,300 for this winter. And then we added another 110 drop-in beds. And drop-in beds are really important because while a shelter may be full, the drop-in center will take an individual any time of the evening and never turn anybody away. And 75 of those beds were family beds, exactly the type we needed here. And then we added a third piece. The angels of this city are our homeless outreach workers. What they are doing out in the cold and talking to our individuals about their problems every day is remarkable. But DPD complained that in the evening they did not have the access to the homeless outreach workers. And so this winter we put the outreach workers on 24-hour shifts, continual service, so that any time of the day or night, DPD can immediately reach an outreach worker and place an individual. And all winter long, I have heard great compliments at the way the Detroit police are working with the outreach team. As people in the city know, our officers do not treat the homeless with a criminal response. They almost invariably go out with an outreach worker talking about where they could go. So, as we look at what happened here, we know this has been a lot colder winter. And the details I'm going to give you are also preliminary. Chief Bedison is examining the side from the police department, but we're also going to examine everything that happened here from a housing services standpoint. And so we're only 18 hours into this, and what I say may turn out to change as we go. But here's what I am told from the housing department that we do know. That this family reached out to our homeless response team on November 25th. They had reached out earlier in the summer and even back into the previous year, but reached out on November 25th essentially saying they had been living with a family. They were no longer going to be able to keep living with that family and needed a place to go. And in the course of that conversation, there was no resolution reached on where they would go. And one of the things that's important when you call our homeless services folks is that if it's an emergency situation, we send out one of these outreach workers. Because when you're on the telephone, you have people with complicated problems. Sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly what the circumstance is. Is it an emergency? But when a homeless outreach worker goes and lays eyes on the family and sees what's going on, they know exactly what to do. For whatever reason, this wasn't deemed an emergency that caused an outreach worker to visit the family. 3 weeks later, we opened the Family Drop-In Center on December 16th. It was exactly the type of situation we opened it for, and we were opening it to be ahead of the worst temperatures of the winter. At least as far as we've been able to determine so far, the family never called back again for service. And as far as we've been able to tell, our homeless staff never proactively reached out to say, what happened with your situation? Was it resolved? Or to indicate that there might be a room available. And so we have to make sure that we do everything possible to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And I'm not trying to talk about an individual employee. I'm talking about the system as a whole. Are we doing everything to make sure people in this city know how to access this critical care? And so I have asked Malia Howard, our deputy mayor, and Julie Schneider, the head of Housing and Revitalization Department, to come back to me with 2 weeks, in 2 weeks with plans to review this and address it. One, obviously, is the history of the circumstances on this family. But I want a review of our call center and the housing specialist. I've heard times that people say, I called and they asked me a lot of questions about classification and the like, and I came away confused. I want to make sure that when people call, they get very clear options when that phone call is made. And I am asking them to put a policy in place that any time minors are involved experiencing homelessness, that our outreach workers automatically do a site visit. Anytime we've got children in danger of being on the street, I want that outreach worker face to face and identify what the situation is and make sure it is resolved. And finally, I'm asking for a review of our public information process. As you can probably gather, was up late last night, and I went and I looked at the media coverage when we opened the Family Drop-In Center on December 16th. It was remarkable. On all TV stations, all newspapers, all social media, we had extensive coverage that service was there. But the reality is that somebody living in a car or somebody living on the street isn't getting that information. And I want us to think through how we make sure the people who need it the most know that we are there for them. The people in this city who are working on this are remarkable. You have got churches, you have got nonprofits, you have got warming centers. You have a lot of people in the city willing to step up and help during the winter. But I think it's really important right now that we just clarify to everybody 2 simple rules, and we have to do this to make sure it doesn't happen again. If during the day you are in danger of homelessness, you call the hotline. It's spelled in well-publicized 866-313-2520. But if it's after 6 o'clock at night and an incident's happened, you've been pushed out of the house, you're in an emergency situation, go to your police precinct. Because in this city, our police work hand in hand with our homeless prevention folks. And if you get to the police precinct, you don't need to navigate anything. The officers there will greet you and take care of you and make sure you get to the shelter that you need. We just can't have something like that happen in this city again. So the deputy mayor and the head of Housing Resources have been on their assignment for about 2 hours. I know they'll get it done thoroughly and competently. And with that, I'll introduce the deputy mayor, Malia Howard.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. As we stand here today, we do truly mourn the loss of these 2 children. It is completely tragic, and our hearts are heavy. No parent, no family, no mother should ever have to endure such hardship and heartbreak. And so our hearts go out to her and to her mother and her extended family. As Mayor Duggan just stated, over the course of the next 14 days, my team and I, along with Director Schneider and the Housing Department, will undertake a complete process review of what has happened. And we will provide the mayor with that feedback and those actionable items within 14 days. But I want to say this. If you are experiencing homelessness, if you are living in your vehicle, if you are on the imminent danger of being put out, please contact 866-313-2520. Again, please continue to pray for this family. As Detroiters, I know that we will lift them up in our hearts and do so. But please, again, if you know of anyone or if you yourself are experiencing these issues, please call 866-313-2520. Again, as Mayor Duggan stated, if it's after hours, please go to the nearest police precinct. Please. This is to support you and your families. So please know that we are here for you and continue to serve you. And again, the full strength of the administration is behind this effort, and my complete attention will be on nothing but this moving forward. So thank you. I'd like to bring up Director Julie Schneider from the Housing Department.
Hello. We're certainly saddened to be here today as we mourn these tragic losses. I certainly share in the sorrow as we mourn the death of 2 of Detroit's children. Just 2 weeks ago, I was out with the outreach teams on the east side of Detroit as part of the annual count of unsheltered households. I wanted to go out with our outreach teams. I wanted to see the work that they do every day. I wanted to talk to individuals and households who were experiencing homelessness. While we were out that night, we encountered one gentleman on the side of the road. He was quite literally cold and shivering that night and needing help and wanting help. I called for a Lyft ride while our team waited with him and talked to him. And that Lyft ride took him to one of our drop-in shelters as all of our outreach teams were out that night conducting outreach. As the mayor mentioned, this winter has been colder than previous winters and has been difficult and highlights the need to provide these services. In preparation for this winter and based on residents' need, we brought on an additional 400 shelter beds since December of 2023, and an additional 100 drop-in shelter beds for residents who are sleeping outside or who are in cars. We have expanded the work of those outreach teams like the one that I accompanied. You know, they're out every day, meeting with unsheltered households, working to connect them to services such as shelter, housing, every single day. And that work was expanded to 24/7 since last year. You know, in light of these tragic events, as the mayor and deputy mayor said, I will conduct a review of the service delivery and coordination within the next 14 days. Also within the next 14 days, I'll be reviewing a history of the family as it relates to their calls for services for those experiencing homelessness. And I believe with that, we will open it up for, I'm sorry.
So at this time, we'll open it up to the media for questions. And I can already tell you that as far as the investigation, there's not a whole lot I can say. But we'll take the first question.
Faraz from Channel 7. Just a couple of things. Could you shed some light as to how many people were inside the van and ages as well, please?
It's a total of a total of 5 children and 2 adults that were inside the van.
Would you be able to share ages?
I'll have my team get the ages to you. What's the ages? Yep. 13 to 2. Yep, 13 to 2.
Is anyone detained right now?
No.
Okay. And I guess, Mayor, this is probably a question for you, and you kind of partially answered that by 2 simple rules that you mentioned. I have experienced quite a few homeless people who are experiencing homelessness reaching out to me over the years, kind of trying to understand what options they have. And, you know, I've helped some, I've tried to get help for some, but, you know, there's always this roadblock. Either they don't have the information because probably they're not watching, you know, television or they're not on social media, or when they do call some of the numbers that are designed to help these folks, they don't receive the help. And they're frustrated, they're sad. What would your answer be for those people who try to utilize the services, but they've just been let down?
When we entered this winter with 400 more shelter beds and the 110 drop-in beds with a contract that nobody is turned away at the drop-in shelters any time of the night, the service is there. We have got to do a better job of educating folks on the fact that the service is there and getting people to it. And we've educated the police department, we've educated the outreach workers, and I think you can help us continue to educate the public.
Is there more that perhaps the city can do?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking the deputy mayor and the housing director. I think the key is, and I think I said this, the beds have to be available. We have to put eyes on these families experiencing homelessness with our professional outreach workers. We have to get them physically there and get an immediate response. You just learn so much more being with them than you get off of a phone call. And I do expect we are going to dramatically expand the site visits of the outreach workers, particularly with regard to families with children.
Do we have enough outreach workers?
We will do whatever we have to do. So we're already working on it, but we just added a second shift to outreach workers in the evening. I'm confident. But again, they have 14 days to have their report, but I am very confident one of the things they are going to accomplish.
Thank
is
you.
to make sure families with children have visits.
Ed White from the Associated Press. Chief, can you explain the significance of the casino garage for this family? Why they ended up there? And I'm wondering, I'm not familiar with that 9th level of the garage. Is it somewhat isolated, and that perhaps prevent maybe passersby or others from seeing the van and what might have been going on? What was the significance of that site?
So I definitely don't want to speculate, but in having a conversation with my detectives that interviewed the mother and the grandmother, and don't want to get too far into actually what was said, but I will tell you that at the casino is definitely free parking. It has an aspect of safety to it if you're going to be sleeping in a vehicle. And then another aspect of it is you're able to go inside the casino and utilize restroom facilities.
Did they do that? Do you know if they went in the casino at any point?
At some point, I was told that by my detectives that yes, they would utilize casino restrooms.
I guess that raises another point. Did anyone from the casino see them at all?
I'm not going to get.
Was there an opportunity there to intervene?
I'm not going to. The investigation is ongoing, and so definitely don't want to do anything. And I'm not going to go into a lot that I do know, just based off of the fact that I want to give this mother dignity, and I'll just present the facts to the Wayne County prosecutor and allow her to do her job. So.
Chief, with this ongoing investigation, is the city now providing this family some resources, housing, or any other resources?
So, of course, you just heard from the mayor, this whole team right here, there are resources, and at this particular point, the children, they're with other family members, and the answer is yes.
And Malia Howard will be coordinating that.
I'm sorry?
The deputy mayor will be coordinating that.
Okay. And follow up on his question, do you know how long the family had been seeking shelter at that parking garage? Was yesterday an isolated incident, or had they been seeking shelter there over days?
They moved around from various casino parking lots, so that wasn't the only casino parking lot that they would sometimes camp in or stay.
Thank you.
Hi, Chief. This is Andrea from the Detroit Free Press. I just have a couple of quick questions.
Yes.
First, you had mentioned that you were presenting facts to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. Does that mean you were investigating for potential criminal liability here?
We not necessarily. We it's so early in the investigation. We're just going to present the facts, and so it doesn't necessarily mean criminal. Sometimes it can mean negligence, but we don't make charging decisions, and we can't even determine the cause of death. And so just like of course, the medical examiner will actually determine the cause of death. We suspect that it's hypothermia, but it could come back being something completely different. And so we're going to present the facts to the prosecutor, but at this point in time, we have sent nothing to the prosecutor.
Okay, and then just a clarification on timeline. So a family friend was already at the garage helping out with the car when the mother, found out about discovered her 9-year-old son wasn't breathing. The family friend took the child to the hospital, and that's when, was it the grandmother that reported the 2-year-old that was not breathing, or was it the mother?
I believe that was the grandmother. It was the grandmother.
Okay,
Yes.
Grandmother. And then, last question, how were the other children, how were they dressed? And how were they found when they were found? Were they in proper clothing or?
Yeah, see that, I don't want to get into that detailed of the investigation, but we'll present those facts to the Wayne County prosecutor. But the only thing I'll say is this, for the good of the public, that in temperatures like this, a vehicle will not insulate you from exposure. So therefore, if you're out there, and I'll just use this example, because I've been thinking about this over and over and over. You ever leave a gallon of water or a gallon of milk in your car, and the next day you go to it, it's frozen solid. And so for anybody that's out there now, just seek shelter.
Okay, thank you.
John Hewitt, WWJ. Most of my questions have been asked and answered, but I did have two for clarity, please. The mayor mentioned that the family reached out to the city in November. Had they been living in this vehicle since November, maybe not at the casino garage for that period of time, or can you add any more context as to how long they had been living in this vehicle?
From my preliminary investigation and talking to detectives, anywhere from 2 to 3 months.
And when it comes to the other children being with other family members now, not to sit here and second guess on the tragedy, but were they other family members just not aware of this situation with the family? Because after this incident, they can take these kids in, but other family may not have known, or do you have any idea as to, why they were in the situation they were in?
You definitely don't want to speculate, but from what I've been told, is that the mother had a lot of pride. She loved her kids, and she wanted to keep the family together.
Thank you.
Julia Cardi, Detroit News.
Yes.
Are you able to say how many times before had this family been to this casino?
I don't know that specifically at this point.
And for anyone that can answer, would there be any consideration of expanding the hours that the city's homelessness hotline operates to operate it overnight, to just give people that option?
We have done that occasionally when it's gotten very cold and we set up additional centers, but the shortest way for somebody in an emergency is go to the police precinct. It's just, we probably will extend the hours, but that will not be nearly as effective. If you're experiencing an emergency after hours, go to your police precinct. They will navigate the process and get you to a shelter.
And for the other 3 children involved, where are they now?
There were some family members.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Charlie Langton, Fox 2. Chief, if I could just ask you, tell me if I'm wrong, but were they using their car for heat as well? And then at some point, did they run out of gas? And if that's the case, how long had they had no heat?
So they were using their car as shelter, and at some point the vehicle either ran out of gas or had a mechanical failure. We'll later be able to determine that, but during the night the vehicle stopped. It was frigid, and as a result we're here today.
And the first call that was made to any authority was roughly noon-ish or
Yes,
so?
sir. Yes, sir.
So we're talking a number of hours that there was no heat in that car?
Yes, many hours. So, yes.
And Mayor, if I could just, thank you, Chief. If I could just ask you, I'm assuming it's not a viable place to shelter at a casino parking lot. What would you say to the business operators that maybe are providing some safety, but is that the proper way to do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure that the casino operators had any idea that this was occurring, but we have the ability to shelter you tonight. Please call the hotline or go to the police precinct.
And those, just so I'm clear, if someone is listening to this right now, they are in need of a shelter, they can call the city 24 hours a day and they can get a place to shelter.
They can call the city until 6 p.m. at the hotline number. After 6 p.m., go to the police precinct.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Great job there.
Any of us would have done something. We just know.
When I saw the headlines, I thought it was something else.
Yeah, me too. I couldn't believe it.
Brilliant idea. I think the churches, the outreach, they have outreach ministries. Take your outreach team. Let's all those